up in this home and not have 60 loving, amazing, incredible people jammed into this space and a room, magically being together. And for those that it's your first huddle and you're like, what's happening here? We're here today to co create simple, fun, and magical micro distinctions and frictionlessness that free your exponential abundance to come together to make our lives greater, the lives of the people that we love, and the world an even greater place. And we're not a space of transformation, a space of like freeing and unleashing, just like we have in peak athletic training, but the best of all of it in true heart centeredness. And just coming off a Long Beach Island weekend for our elite mastery family. And thank you, because I promise you, I gained every bit as much from it as you did. And having the blessing and the opportunity to be inspired by you, to be connected to you, and just have so much fun. And as that song was playing, Lost Boy by Ruth B, which we have now adopted as our heart and soul goddess centered song and our aspirational song as well. I was just sitting there and just like thoughts were flashing through. I was thinking about being on the Ferris wheel with Mike and Tiffany Armstrong. I was thinking about just all these like cool moments of talking with Mike Adams. I was thinking about and feeling Craig from SoCal in the ocean and the crazy and then crying. D-Rush, Jason Sipple in that last moment in the ocean that we spent together, saying goodbye to our friends from the West Coast, like Michelle, like Lorelei, like Craig as well, as they were jumping on airplanes to head back across the country. And so many more. Elle Anderson stepping into such beautiful feminine Zeus energy, right? Like woman, Zeus energy, and exposing her goddess energy and vulnerability so beautifully, and her fun and aspirational energy. And the moments go on Brian Ripple with yippee, and Courtney Epps talking about whales and kidnapping somebody from Africa and bringing them here. And Dr. David, AD, what's up, brother? And Nick, oh my God, Nick Knutson, brother, throw that video if you like. It's up to you. They put in the WhatsApp group into the Unblinded page and see what happened for Nick this weekend. And I was inspired by you, brother, and every single other person that was here. Kelly, Gina, leadership, love, all the incredible Bella. Oh my God, Bella hitting everybody with energy all over the place and heart centeredness. And so one of those fine folks we have here this morning, we have another special guest that who was not here this weekend, but brother Rob Gill. Before we say hello, what I'm going to request is that I'm speaking to Goddess Rob, that I know and love, the Goddess energy part of you, as well as your fun energy. And then maybe you could drop in a little Zeus here and there for sure. But I want to speak into your heart and say, what's up, Rob? And all of you know this, that when that song is like, and we talked about it here together, I'm not Peter. I'm not Peter Pan, and you're not lost. You're Peter or Tink, whatever you choose. And you're here to lead people that are lost, and not lost like they're just completely oblivious and have nothing. Sometimes people that that have 10 times as much money than you do are lost. Sometimes people are lost who are have the biggest heart in the world and can't step into their Zeus energy, and their 4 steps, 10 dispensable moments, 4 energies, and can't put it together to make a living that takes stress away. And sometimes people have all the money in the world and they have no stress, and they're sitting there and have everything working so beautiful in their business, and their dynamics outside of it aren't working. That's what I mean by lost people. And all of us have a part of us that are lost and are blind and just learning to see. And so we're all working together. In some ways, we're all lost boys. In some ways, we need to all step up and be the leaders and become. Right. So Rob Gill, good morning, brother. What's up?
Hey, happy Why Wednesday, Sean. Grateful to be on the call. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, so grateful to have you. So just from your heart, what was present for you this weekend in your heart? What connection, what love, what presence? Yeah, like what was there for you?
So as I've mentioned, privately to certain people, I've been sober since 1996. And before I got sober, I went to rehab. And when you go, not that this was a weekend of rehab, but when you go to rehab, it really it teaches you how to share all the baggage that you held on to in your life up until that point, all the things that were holding you back, or the things that, kind of kept you in that downward spiral of avoiding the pain by numbing yourself through drugs and alcohol. So for me, and I was sharing this with Sean yesterday, that I'm very comfortable in the space of, talking about both of the lives that I've lived, one of self imprisonment, one of non self imprisonment. But in that space, there's a lot of ebbs and flows that are constantly happening. And what I saw this weekend um, was people that were just in their heart. And I remember being with Practice Mastery with Sean and him doing the exercises at Practice Mastery with a bunch of doctor professionals and medical professionals and doing the groups of three and everything. And at one point when I was at the house, I think it was on Saturday, we were in groups of three, and I was like, this is exactly what Sean wanted, because everybody that was there was playing all out, fully committed. And when you're in a sports team or a DNA of a company, and everybody's on the same page and everybody's going in the same direction, on the right hand something to the left hand, the exponential growth is incredible. And the emotional exponential growth, which has nothing to do with money, the byproduct could be financial freedom, but what was happening there was just totally amazing to me. And I was sharing this with Sean yesterday, and I felt so grateful. And people that were sharing their stories, their experience, their strength, their hope, it was unbelievable. And for me, it was like a 12-step approach um, in the business context,
Oh.
you know?
And how did it feel for you, Rod? Thank you for that, brother, and your presence, your energy, your leadership there. How did it feel for you? Like, how did you feel being in the space and just experiencing these people and, yeah, all of it? How did it feel for you?
For me, I felt like I was in grammar school and I was being taught and I was a student um, by all the people that were in there. I felt like I was dealing with folks that were um, looking to make real world changes, like real world changes. You know what I mean? Like not just, becoming success, like changing the world. And, I'm the guy, and a couple of people have been talking about this, but I'm the guy that believed what you see on TV is real when I was growing up, whether it was the Brady Bunch or, any of those family programs. So it really made me feel, because I grew up in a chaotic situation. I always say that I was raised by a pack of wolves, both in my house and in my neighborhood. So, when you see TV, it's like you believe that that's, the real deal, right? But it's not. And just like when you see massive success and people, when they tell the story later on, movers and shakers and people that really had massive change and positive impact on people, you only see that version of how it's being portrayed on TV, not the real behind the scenes version. And I was sitting there just looking around and really saying, and this is where we came up with that phrase, this is what it looks like. This, the weekend that in LBI is what it looks like when you're taking that next action step and you're building something that is really disruptive and different and positive for the world. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And whether it was, at one point I said to Fernando when we were kind of dancing in the circle, there was neighbors walking back and forth with their dogs. And the funniest scene for me was just people on the corner, maybe 50 feet diagonal from where we are, just looking, like saying, like, what the hell is going on over there? And I asked Fernando, I said, go invite them in to come dance. And he
So,
did. And I love Fernando because he did. They politely declined, of course, but at the end of the day, it's that stuff, man. It's this is how it happens. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like.
Rob is the creator of "This Is What It Looks Like." Like that's the Rob Gill quote. As we were growing and building in the very beginning, when growing and building, it looked like me and Rob, right? And this is what it looks like. And Rob would always say, like, "This is what it looks like." And that was some positive things happen when chaos was going on. And so, Rob, when you think about the fun part, like I just want to know what you think. So we have a little bit of a mild disagreement.
Mm-hmm.
Can you step in and Bayonne Rob, right? And tell me what you think was actually going on. So when the fire was blaring, five, I'll call them, I don't exaggerate, but they were bigger than fire pits and maybe small. Each one was a little bit smaller than a bonfire, but we'll go five mini bonfires or five giant fire pits are roaring in the backyard, right? And everybody's there and they're dancing and screaming. Gina's head's flying all over the place. Joe Hagan's like doing cartwheels. So all this is like going on around the fire. And all of a sudden, Mona's like, oh, wow, look at the neighbors. And this is, of course, after the police were there twice. And when it's like, wow, look at the neighbors. They're so inspired. They're out there taking pictures and looking. So what do you, what do you think the neighbors next door who are renting that house next door for $21,000 a week? What
They
do you,
were they
what do you
were building a case.
so, so, so tell me the Rob Gill reality of what was happening. Because we all have our own realities and stories, right? So what's the Rob Gill story of what was going on?
Well, first of all, I want to honor and tell Mona what a phenomenal job she did this weekend, number one, and also the love that she has. Honor the fact that she, feels that they were inspired. So thank you, Mona. You awesome job, awesome, challenging yet awesome job.
Yeah.
And that should, and I'm sure you've been told that over and over again, but that's not an easy 4-day run.
You want you
With
want
that
to
being,
want to hear something fun real quick, everybody? So about like 5 or 6 days ago, it was probably 5 or 6 days before Friday. So call it last Saturday. She's like, wait, are we having like some people over? And I'm like, yeah, like, yeah,
Confirmed.
yeah, I don't like, I think so. Yeah. And then 5 days later,
He
60
said, I think so.
sleeping in the living room
uh,
and hanging out. Yeah, it's like Woodstock, like unfolded 5 days later. It was like, we have some people over. I'm like, yeah, a few. Yeah. So back to you, Rob.
yeah. So really phenomenal job, Mona. And I was watching what you're doing behind the scenes and just kind of coordinating everything and very polite, graceful action steps. So anyway, I went and had dinner and I was feeling that I had to go home at some point because it was Sunday, let's say 10:30. And I went by the house and the first thing I noticed was the bus and everybody, this was my perspective. I didn't know what happened on the bus, but and you could see from the street there's a fire in the backyard. This is what I'm seeing. And everyone is coming out of the bus and it's a slow march to the backyard, which to me looked like a death march. Just so that was my perspective, right? And I remember thinking, I was like, oh God, I hope he doesn't lose somebody tonight. You know what I mean? And that was like a thought. And
And
then so
Rob, just for the sake of reality, how insane do you think I am? Like just Rob Gill in the quiet recesses of his mind. How crazy and nuts do you think I am, actually?
I think that's the foundation of why I love you so much, because I'm comfortable in your insanity. I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that your insanity speaks to my soul.
No, thank you, brother.
Seriously, I mean that. Like all BS aside, like I wouldn't know what to do if you were normal. Thank God. I don't even think we would know each other. You're not normal, and that's a beautiful thing. You're integrity based with love, but you are not normal. Anyway, so now I'm watching. I'm, I'm making a U-turn. I'm watching people go in the back, and Sean calls me the next day just to give me the quick, the debrief and telling me the whole
Well,
story.
Rob was going home to take care of his family. There's he's three beautiful children, wife, and it just so Rob, yeah, was heading home as the man, husband, and father he is on a number of different levels. So honor that, brother. Love you.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, brother. So Sean calls me the next morning, and he's like, my relationship with Sean is we celebrate each other's successes all the time, and we cheer for each other, and we also have hard conversations and code everything you could think of around. But this was one of those like Christmas morning conversations, let's say.
And we love to laugh together. We have a lot.
Yes, yes. And Sean was ecstatic, giddy as a gumdrop, just like, just in what everything that he had been working for and working towards was happening in that moment. And he was so excited for all the people that went through the exercise the night before, breaking the wood, throwing the wood into the to the fire and then jumping into the ocean. But he was describing to me, and this is what I love about him, the step by step what was happening. And he told me about how everyone threw their wood in the fire and then they made a slow march to the ocean, and they had the portable speaker playing music, which I was able later to see on Lorelei's live, so I was able to kind of capture all that. And he started telling me that the neighbors were looking and everything else, and I was like, yeah, they're building a case. They're going to go to the city and tell you why you should be removed. And this is after you talked about creating generational wealth wills that can't sell the house for 200 years.
Yes. So the neighbors, Rob, are not confused. And Long Beach Island is definitely not confused because this is like not normal here. Like
Oh,
this is not like this island does not have a franchise on the island. It has a Ben and Jerry's. It does not have a restaurant franchise that you can walk into. Like no franchises, quiet town, no high rises. Like
yes.
peacefulness is like at the core being. My friend Rob, everybody out there, about 15 years ago, we were in our 20, I guess early 30s. and my buddy came out of a bar, like bars here are even very peaceful, docile, at about midnight, and he was walking to his car. He said, "Hey, the car's over here." They gave him a noise ordinance violation ticket for
Yeah.
raising his voice after midnight.
Oh
True
yeah.
story. And we have mayhem and insanity and fires on the beach, and not jumping only in the ocean, in the roaring, insane pre-hurricane inferno of the ocean was what was happening.
Well, can I add some more flavor to this whole scenario? Because the day
Now
before that,
we're gonna bring up our awesome guest, and I want you to meet him too, Rob, in a minute. Yeah.
I can't wait. But the day before that, I'm talking with I think Ken, Joe Hagan, maybe In and Out, and Tom Flatico, and everyone is getting ready to go surfing, right?
Yes.
But during that time, because you have so much love in your heart, brother, and you're sitting down in Indian style with the microphone and speaker, by the way, everybody, on a beach that's very windy, and the ocean, which is 50 feet behind them, is the roughest I've ever seen in a long time because there was a hurricane out in Bermuda. So he's sitting there with the microphone and he's having a conversation with everybody about, how to overcome any kind of fear they may be having about jumping in the ocean. I'm one of those guys. I don't like jumping in the ocean when there's no lifeguards and there's undertows and all that other shit. That's just not me. So there was two red I guess trucks.
What
I guess lifeguard
lifeguard
trucks.
patrol trucks, lifeguard
Yeah.
patrol. Yeah.
So you have Sean behind him is open space in the ocean, and they're driving behind Sean as he's sitting in the circle speaking to everybody with the look of like, what the F is going on here? Like, and I remember like looking at Joe or Tom or Ken, I forget. I was like, did you see that? You know what I mean? Like, and so that's how I have fun when I'm stressed. Cause I was like, I was jumping in the ocean. It was the first person he called out, like, was where Rob Gill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's so I had to jump in. So I was just like watching that whole thing, and to me it was really funny. And back to the point with the neighbors taking pictures, I had a conversation with John Spring about a month ago, and I won't say what the political agenda was, but he had his flag on the beach, whatever who he's going to vote for, and there was people taking pictures and reporting him to the to Surf City.
So John Sprague and I are going to be the most wanted people at LBI. But
Yes.
I'll tell you, the business's place. I mean, it was a beautiful thing. So I am kidding. Long Beach Island, this is magic, and it's
Oh
incredible.
yeah.
And
Yes.
maybe those people next door are a little bit confused, but we love them anyway. And we are empathetic to the disruption of their late night evening, but hopefully they were in fact inspired, as Mona is saying. So that's it. And yes, those lifeguard trucks. There are no lifeguards in LBI. There are no lifeguards in Long Beach Island after Labor Day. These were special lifeguard trucks brought out for us. And the dude talked to me. He's like, "You know what's happening?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "We're here, but this is crazy." I said, "Yep." And they parked about a quarter mile down because anybody surfing and anybody in the water, even body surfing that made it out to the sandbar, which is complete insanity to do that. We were drifting about a quarter mile in about 4 or 5 minutes. And they were down there like ready to like whistle everybody out because then the far south jetty is down there, which you don't want to be washed up on the jetty and waves like this and crashing and undertow and the whole thing. That does not end well. So the lifeguards are there to like, they were the last stop before like jetties and like death, like is what they were like hanging out there, or at least massive like problems and pain. So it was quite an adventure, and everybody did an unbelievable job. So just
Yes.
stay with me for a second, Rob. By the way, Fernando, just real quick, as we bring up, I want you to introduce this next gentleman. And let me just tell you, at any point, were you like, please stop him, somebody? Or were you like totally down? Like, were you like, I know he's not going to listen, but like, stop him or no?
To be like in my heart of hearts, not at all, for a multitude of reasons. One, because I was having that much fun. Two, I'm just not that stupid to even think that's possible when you make fun up on something. So it was like
Exactly.
it was a waste of my time, effort, and energy to be like, yeah, maybe I could. No, there was no influencing Sean on that. And fun fact, just because we're in it, and I would love to introduce Chris. I have never even heard of a Yeti, and like I was feet from my death, and Sean's like, yeah, it's beautiful outside. So you're ridiculous, man, and that's what's happening.
Well, love all you guys. And in fact, it looks a lot more dangerous than it actually is in reality. And we could have debates on all day long, but we had the lifeguards there ready to go. And in 9 seconds, everybody be safe and all good. And I was out there with you all, love you all. And let's bring up our next guest. Rob, stay with us for a minute. Okay, brother?
You got it.
Awesome. So I am pumped to introduce Chris Reel into our movement. He is the founding attorney of a boutique business, intellectual property, real estate, and estate planning law firm, The Real, Reel. I love this. The Real Law Firm LLC. Two, He attended Capital University Law School in Columbus, Ohio, where the firm's main office is located. And he's also married with his wife, and he has a son 9 and a daughter 4, who is everything to him. And fun fact, he is Canadian and runs elite obstacle course races, having previously competed for Team Canada at the Obstacle Course Racing Championship. That was more like 3 fun facts, but all good. And also, in my conversations with him, has one of the most interesting reasons for choosing law that I've ever heard. So, friends, family, Sean, Rob, Chris Real.
Chris, what's up, brother? And
how's it going?
with your crazy Canadianness, and since you're a crazy Canadian sitting next to me, I could say crazy Canadianness from Gatineau, right?
I love it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. And so, so with your crazy Canadianness and the good-natured way, fun way of saying that, what would your take have been on this ocean that we're talking about, brother?
Man, I mean, I've swam in the North Atlantic off of Newfoundland, and it's interesting out there as well. I probably would have just jumped right in, probably head first, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't really, I kind of look at it and I'll ask questions after I'm already 2 feet in. So that would have been me. I mean, you say, hey, yeah, let's do this. I'll say, okay.
Well, Chris, hey, Rob Gill, Chris passes the insanity test. So check, and we're all good.
I can tell. There's no doubt about it.
That is awesome. So, Chris, this is Rob Gill. He was raised by a pack of wolves, but he's
wolf pack.
That's awesome. I'll have to meet them one day.
Yeah, my family's not happy when I say that, but it's true. I was raised by a pack of wolves, Sean. Hudson County style.
Hudson County style. Yep. So, by the way, Hudson County, Rob's town, Chris and everybody. The movie Rocky, true story. Look it up. And actually, I know it is because Sylvester Stallone, when I had the privilege of being at Tony Robbins' house a couple months ago, Sylvester Stallone came in live to talk to us. I mean, live online, right, because of COVID. And he mentioned Chuck Wepner and Bayonne. Yep. So the guy that Rocky was based on is a true fighter named Chuck Wepner, who fought Muhammad Ali. And Chuck Wepner is from Rob's town, Bayonne.
No kidding.
Yeah, so Rob's from a crazy place.
Yeah.
And Sean, just to add to that,
like Rocky and Rob Gill. Yes, Rob.
Chuck Wepner's best friend is Bob Rooney, whose son is your client that manages Beetlejuice.
That is absolute insanity. And my dad in trucking met like Chuck Wepner along the way. He really was like a collection guy. He was like Rocky. Like what he did for a living and all those things are based on just a rough street guy that Chuck was. And yeah, my dad knew him through trucking and all that insanity as well. So yes, Chris, this is what's happening here this morning. So tell us about you. Enough about all this insanity. I did see you on a real Raw, and you're super impressive, brother, with your background. Tell us about the real law firm, estate planning, IP. Like, what's it about for you?
Sure. Yeah. So, Fernando did an awesome job introducing me. Thank you, Fernando. I appreciate that, man. I think I want to start with, how he said, I have one of the most interesting stories on how I actually ended up in the law. I still have a good laugh about it now, so many years down the line. I met my now wife in college in West Virginia, and me being on a student visa, it's set to expire once you graduate. Well, her and I had our first son, our first child, while I was a junior in college. She was a sophomore. So me thinking, okay, I can, do the whole, and I'll be, completely honest, we could do the shotgun wedding thing, or we can figure this out, put our big boy and big girl pants on. So I started thinking, how can I stay in the country without, making a decision that I didn't know, honestly, I was prepared to make at that point. I was 21. So I started looking into the longest postgraduate programs that universities offered in the United States. So I went through, okay, let's see, medical school. I don't have a science degree. I have a communications degree. So that's not going to work. MBA, 1 to 2 years. And I go, law school's 3 years. I'm going to go to law school. And that was how I decided. And that was at the end of my junior year. I decided to sit for the LSAT and ended up going to law school. And, ultimately I loved it. Initially I didn't think I was going to practice in law. I was going to follow Ted Rogers.
Ladies and gentlemen, making a decision of how to immigrate to the United States through the process of law school. and amazingness of the birth of a child. So loving you, Chris, already. Let's keep going.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't think that I was going to practice law. I knew, it interested me for sure. I liked the intellectual stimulation of it all, but it was, one of those things where I was thinking to myself, okay, this is going to give me time to really figure out, okay, what I really want to do with my life. And,
And
went through the whole process. Pardon?
All kidding aside, it's Why Wednesday. Like that's an instant why. And what
Yeah.
I want everybody to please become present to is the power of why. And so many times we don't have one, but really could, because we're just not present to
Mhm.
what's at stake in our life. And Chris had a blessing and a gift in an extraordinary way, and his lovely wife, like they got a giant why real quick,
Yep.
right? And they did amazing things with it. So go ahead, brother.
Yeah, it was, I mean, by no means was it easy. We had, we were blessed with our family stepping up and helping us while we, went through school. And, I couldn't work full time because I was on a student visa. So I could only take jobs on the university campus. So I was cutting grass. I was, opening beers at the bar, on the weekends, anything that we could do that I could do to try and make some money, because there's limitations on your student visa, and I wasn't about to play around with messing that up. So was cutting grass at 6 a.m., going to class, and then going to the campus bar and opening beer bottles and mixing drinks for people. So that but to back into the law school story, I really did enjoy the intellectual stimulation. I ended up taking enough credits in university to minor in philosophy, and I loved the logic, the reasoning behind philosophy. So there was some rhyme and reason to saying, hey, this might actually make sense. I still didn't think I was going to practice law, though. I was going to adopt the Ted Rogers mentality and go and maybe start a business, and he went to law school in Canada, and that inspired me, and decided, what, I'll be an entrepreneur. Little did I know that my entrepreneurial journey would lead me into starting a law firm.
Boom.
Working, right?
Boom.
So married the concepts together. I was so blessed, though. I started my career, Siobhan. She took me under her wing when I first passed the Florida bar.
I had to keep Javon from jumping off the pirate ship and swimming in the bay and all kinds of things were happening just a couple of
You see, but that's probably why she hired me. When she did, she saw that insanity thing in me too. She's like, this guy would jump off the boat too. So but I was fortunate enough. She taught me a whole lot, not just about the law, but also about, running a business. And my wife and I made the tough decision that we were going to move to Ohio, where her family's from, and where I went to law school. And, it was a little closer for us to my family, who all still lives in Canada. It's a little bit of a shorter drive than to Florida, and it's a little less expensive than a flight from Toronto to Florida too. So we decided to make the move, and I started my own shop from there. And really wanted to focus on serving small businesses. And, again, with it being Why Wednesday, I really dug deep. I read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. And, I read it at the inception of the real law firm. And that was, to really understand who I wanted to serve and why. And I wanted to serve those people that were going to, one, create the life that they were aspiring to achieve, but also to create the life for other people. Small business, creates jobs. It creates opportunity for people. And I wanted to help these people create these opportunities for themselves and for those people that they wanted to help. Right.
And
So it really served the people
and
purpose.
sometimes it creates people jumping in the ocean with like wood and fires and like almost night and bowling pins flying around. Yeah, sometimes it creates that. So
that's all good.
So with you, Chris, where's this all going? Like ultimately, what's the vision, Chris Real, with all of this and supporting entrepreneurs, whatever? You have it all your way. What does this look like 100 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the legacy component of that. I want my family, as Fernando said in my intro, I do everything for them. I can't tell you the last time that I ended up buying myself, a pair of jeans. I wear the same outfits that I've worn for so many years. I put everything that I do into providing for my kids, giving them the luxuries that they deserve. My son plays travel hockey and travel baseball. So my wife and I, we pay for that stuff. We pay for our home. We pay for, all that stuff and the opportunities to create experiences for our kids as well. Like I was telling Fernando, I wish I could have been there this weekend, but I was actually in Fort Wayne, Indiana, for my son's hockey tournament, and it's the life that I love to lead. But I really want my son and my daughter, to really speak of me when I'm gone, as a man of his word, number one, and a man who didn't stop at anything to make sure that his family was taken care of. And I learned that principle from my father, who's an entrepreneur in Canada. He made a lot of sacrifices for us, as we were growing up. I mean, when I was a baby, we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, and we made the climb through his entrepreneurial journey. And now he's doing fantastic. He's retired, in his mid 50s, and is just loving life. Right. And it was all a result of him understanding what his why was as well, which was his family. And I have a brother and sister as well, who again, they reap the benefit of the example that my dad set for us. So I
Awesome.
think, from 100 years from now, yeah, I mean, I could talk about, having a massive law firm that continues on in my name, but that really isn't it for me. I want the impact to resonate with people. If my name ever comes up in conversation, I want people to say, yeah, he was an incredible lawyer, really helped people achieve what they aspired to achieve, and stopped at nothing to do that. So to, I guess, marry the family and the career components of me together, is all rooted in impact. I want to impact as many people as I can.
And so, yeah, brother, and that's what is present. Your relentlessness is clear, and commitment to love and passion and family and making beautiful things happen. And I'll say this to you and to Rob: that impact comes with scaling, duplication of ourselves, and that's
Mhm.
one of the things. Rob has gone from 8 to 175 sales meetings, and now the mission is duplication and scale. Amen, Rob.
Wow,
Absolutely,
Rob, that's
100%.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna need that
Yeah,
pack of wolves to help you.
Yeah. And so that's what's up. So listen, Chris, I'm immensely grateful for you being here today.
Thank you.
And couldn't appreciate it more. And I look so forward to you being a part of this unblinded world, man, because we
Me
are
too, man.
influencing influencers, merging ecosystems to make the world an even greater place. And as you get to clearly understand the formula and to take your heart centeredness and a couple micro distinctions and what to do with them, expansion, scalability becomes so readily apparent. And Rob had made 3,000 phone calls. I'm sorry, opened up 3,000 accounts over the phone. That's tens of thousands of phone calls. And he had such skills. And then with some micro distinctions, it went boom. And it's about
Mhm.
to go boom again. Agree, Rob?
agreed.
Yeah. All right, brother. So, Rob, thank you. Chris, thank you, brother.
Thank
Amazing
you.
information. And we got
Thank
my
you.
cousin, Chris, Rob, everybody. My cousin, Michael Pisa, who was also jumped in, is on his first huddle ever. He's a Long Beach Island realtor. Michael, I love you. Thank you for being here this weekend. Thank you for sharing, co-creating. And, this is home, pal. And this is what it's about. So love you. Love you all. Fernando, great job. Everybody, it is Why Wednesday. And let's remember the fire and Bruce Springsteen as we take it into Wednesday. Love you guys.